everybody, and welcome to another episode of WXR. We have, in light of recent events, we decided that our topic for the evening is going to be a brief discussion of a famous superstar, one who recently passed away. Of course, we're talking about... What's that?
Is it Viscera?
No, we should do one on Vis too, but no. Of course, we are speaking of the Ultimate Warrior. We're not going to do a full character evaluation only because Marcus and I are more recently joined wrestling fans, and therefore we're not really around when he was well known. So as a result, it would have kind of left us out. So we're just going to have a brief discussion about the Ultimate Warrior, what he's done, what he's known for, etc., and just kind of give tribute to one of the greatest superstars of all time. So, who wants to go first? Oh, I should probably introduce who's here. By the way, joining me, we have from the Shadow's Maw, Marcus Shadow.
Yo.
From the Mole Hole, Chris the Mole.
Yeah.
And from his self-titled show, he's the Sad Gamer, Richter Hammer.
Hello.
Why did I think he was going to say parts unknown?
That would have been way cooler.
Sorry. And from parts unknown, Richter Hammer.
No. You need to say from the now defunct. It came from Netflix. Richter Hammer.
Oh boy. Anyway, so yes, the Ultimate Warrior. What can we say about the Ultimate Warrior?
Skronk.
Yeah,
Best
Skronk.
tribute ever.
Yeah, Skronk.
Best tribute ever. If all you've got to say is, what can we say about him? And then you leave.
Well, I'm sorry, we set it up this way because Marcus and I don't know that much about him. You two were going to drive this.
I know. I'm gonna say, well, like I said, a lot of people said this about him before he died, and when he died, they took it back. I understand why people got behind him. He was energetic. He had the right look. He had the right designs and everything to draw people in. I personally feel he was pushed too fast, too quickly, or too hard, because he went from almost obscurity to Intercontinental Champion to fucking main event in so little time that he almost became a flop in itself, if that makes sense to anyone.
It does make sense.
Yeah, I think if they built him up better, as much as I'm going to say in-ring ability, I don't think he was that good. He would have been the next Hulk Hogan, who also wasn't that good.
Sad but true.
Is that your tag team name for you and our Truth teaming up? Sad but true.
Yes. 2K15, I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah, like Jim said, I never actually saw Ultimate Warrior in action, so my only exposure really to him, aside from videos, was basically the induction ceremony, WrestleMania, and the Raw after.
I think something we'd need to address would be his selling.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah, because his selling was pretty bad, and we've made jokes about it in the past, but that pedigree, oh my god, the pedigree told tomorrow, right back up to his feet.
Yeah.
Pedigree heard around the world?
Yeah, that will go around, in my opinion, as still being a hilarious joke years afterwards. Now, I don't think people will mention it as much now. I mean, I loved it when Triple H was talking about Ultimate Warrior and how great he was. Now he's one of the best people he's been in the ring with and stuff. It's like he was in the ring with you for 5 minutes. You tried your finishing move. He no-sold it. How is that one of the best you've been in the ring with? But I will also say it was tragedy that he died. I mean, I believe it was the next night. He literally died the next night after he gave the speech on Raw.
Yes.
Which I believe Richter had something about that, which you brought up, which was kind of funny and sad.
Oh, just like the stuff he said, how it sounded like he knew or something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of like that. Well, the thing I also typed below.
Oh, yeah. Where he's like, I don't think I heard he said no matter what happens. Well, this was in his induction speech. Something like, no matter what happens, your daddy loves you to his daughter. Something like that's kind of creepy in retrospect. But yeah, on the Raw, he was something about like the warrior spirit lives on in all of you, and just sounded like he was really almost like passing it on like. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, like
Like he knew he
saying,
was gonna die.
yeah, like he knew and was just like, oh, don't worry, the warrior's not really gonna die or something. Like he almost knew and was just trying to make it, seem like less sad or something. It's weird. I don't know if he did, but it's kind of creepy in retrospect.
See, I now think what needs to happen on Raw. I think John Cena needs to start a feud with his kids. Just like he did with The Rock, when The Rock said, I'm never ever going away, and then he left. He needs to be like Ultimate Warrior said, he's never ever going to die, and then he died.
There you go.
Wow. Well, that'd be one way to heel turn John Cena.
Yeah, really.
I was kidding, but we have to do some of these humorous banters, if you will, because that's what our audience member of one has grown to know.
Pretty much. But yeah, I mean, when the dude went out there and he was like, one day every man takes his last breath. His heart beats its last beat. It's like, okay, morbid much.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet he knew.
Well, people in the audience that night on Raw were pointing out that in retrospect, looking at it, he did look like he was a little overly sweaty and overexerted, and that he did hold his chest at points. They said.
I will say I did love seeing him on Raw. As much as I'm not going to lie and say I was a big fan. I did enjoy seeing him on Raw just because he put the mask on with the paint off of the mask, and he did the ring, which I wanted him to do at WrestleMania, which fixed that. So that was kind of cool as well.
Yeah, it was all good.
Although, were people saying they wonder whether or not he died or not? Did you not see what was on his wrist? He had one of those clocks from the Justin, what the fuck his name is, Timberlake film In Time.
Ha! Nice. Well, please don't ever again justify that film's existence.
That film was
That film was pretty good.
Yeah, that film was pretty awesome. And wow, that may be obscure as well. I'm not sure how many people out there has actually seen the Justin Timberlake film In Time.
I never
The
saw it,
premise of
but
the
I
film
remember
was
that it
good. The
existed.
execution was not. But that's a review for another time.
The premise of the film was pretty good, and it paralleled perfectly with the whole Occupy Wall Street thing. It just replaced money with life. It was kind of good. But yeah, seeing Ultimate Warrior was nice. Seeing him get closure with his kids seeing his kids up there, hearing him speak at the Hall of Fame, like I've mentioned before. I think I mentioned at the WrestleMania thing. I did love his whole "this is the most anticipated speech in wrestling history." And I was like, yes, I've highly anticipated you giving a Hall of Fame speech. As much as I'm not a fan of yours, I will also say he kind of does. He might deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Probably does because of how popular he was. But I just really wanted him to be like for his speech, and it'd be epic.
I'm gonna say that whether or not anyone thinks he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, I think he deserves to be ahead of some people that already are in there. So
Like Drew Carey.
yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
I will also say I like to think while we're making these poor, sick, tasteless jokes parts of it as well. I will say I like to think of him up in heaven, trying to get to heaven, and St. Peter's there. What good deeds have you done in your lifetime? Sorry, can you repeat that? And he's still there arguing it today.
Wow.
I figured it'd be like, I know sold a pedigree. St. Peter would be like, I don't know. And he's like, did you see the McMahon Helmsley era? And he's like, go on in, my son.
Yeah, I made Triple H look like crap. Good job. In you go.
Yeah.
And now WXR has been cancelled. Good night.
Macho Man, what are you in here for? Well, I also screwed Triple H, kind of.
Wow.
He'd be like, "You remember Stephanie?" And St. Peter would just high five him.
Are you sure? Are you sure, Ultimate Warrior? Are you actually sure you have friends inside waiting for you? Oh yes, he does.
Wow.
He's a completely sick and tasteless.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, now not only has WXR been canceled, we've just now been banned off of YouTube.
Yeah.
It could have been worse. I could have mentioned someone was in there for lying, cheating, and stealing. But then that would be going against WWE continuity, as according to Randy Orton, he's in hell.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because, that wasn't in poor taste at all when WWE makes these kinds of
No,
comments.
not at all. But then again, according to JBL, Andre the Giant's in hell with him. So.
Yeah. When he said, what's on the tunnel, Andre the Giant's locking up. But I was like, and even if Andre the Giant was in hell, I don't think he looks up from anywhere. He's a giant.
Yes, sure.
Pretty much.
I was gonna say with that as well of, yeah, we made these poor toasts and it was jokes, but like the people listening will know, we're doing these jokes because, well, they amuse us, and if there's no mean spirit behind it. I find it more tasteless, and I was shocked they didn't do this with Ultimate Warrior. Normally, cheap heel heat, mention a dead person and say they're in hell. I'm kind of glad they didn't do that with Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yet.
Yet. But I will say Ultimate Warrior also had a very unique look to him, which I will praise slightly for the era of the big, overly muscular guys. Because Hulk Hogan was big and Hulk Hogan looked good at the time. But when it comes to Ultimate Warrior and he came out, he looked so much like an action figure and so over-the-top action figure-ish looking that when you played like WWE All-Stars, he didn't look that much different.
Yeah.
Which
That's true.
Which I'm going to say that's a unique look, and that's not insulting him either. Which I'm going to say bravo to him for that, because at the time that totally works. It's like right now Sheamus has a unique look of being pale with the ginger hair and stuff, and it works for him. So unique looks do get you over.
Yeah, I would definitely say that about Ultimate Warrior. He stood out. Like you could remember him. You're like, oh, the dude with the face paint and the tassels, and who very energetically went to the ring. Yeah, I remember that guy.
Yeah, who copied all that from other wrestlers according to the self-destruction of Ultimate Warrior. Fuck you to Bruce for making that DVD. Like I said, that DVD, there was no point in making that because no one ever wants to buy a DVD which slags off the person whose name's on the front.
Yeah.
Because you're a fan of his. Fuck. Although I will say, Ultimate Warrior DVD of new collection that's on Amazon is one of the best sellers, along with that self-destruction Ultimate Warrior. The second he was dead, people were like, "Oh, we must have this. It'll be worth money, so they can put it on the internet and sell it years later on eBay." Kind of sick.
I will say I did like Ultimate Warrior's theme song. I thought it was kind of cool, and it that combined with his entrance made for a very, I guess, convincing package of high energy and of get the crowd pumped up kind of thing.
I completely 100% do agree with that. He did have a kick-ass theme song. But I will also say in WWE 2K14, I believe it was, with Ultimate Warrior, it's still hilarious changing his theme song to AJ and keeping his entrance.
I had not thought about trying that. Now I need to do that.
There you go.
I'm a terrible person.
Pretty much.
But no, like I said, he's earned his place in the Hall of Fame for his popularity alone. Because let's face it, a lot of people in the Hall of Fame, not to put these people down, but there is a lot of people in there with almost no talent in terms of wrestling and stuff like that. But they're there because they were popular, which means people like them for a reason. Which means if enough people like them and they were that popular, they do deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. For example, in 10, 20 years' time, or whenever the hell he retires, I have no problem if WWE puts Cena in there, despite me not liking Cena that much as a wrestler and as a character, or how he's booked, or his wrestling ability. Fuck you, how long he's been in the main event and how popular he was, he'd still deserve to be in there. But I will be sad if he makes the list before like Undertaker or John Cena. No, if he makes the list before Undertaker and Chris Jericho, I should say.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that'd be like Hall of Fameception if if Cena made the list before Cena.
Yeah.
What do they put in the Doctor Thelgonomics first?
Yes, he gets inducted twice.
Yeah.
It's like my
He's gonna Triple H it.
that's what I was thinking. I'm expecting Triple H to do that. I think he already has, possibly, but I know like Ric Flair was in there with the Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. I'm expecting Triple H to be in there, and Triple H with with DX and Triple H with Evolution.
Yeah.
Triple H and Stephanie and Randy Orton again for the Authority or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
Triple H with the Click.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they'll be inducted. Like, okay, here's Dr. Thugonomics, John Cena. Basically, they'll induct a Cena for every one of his T-shirts.
No, but I will say it is ironic for Triple H.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say it is ironic. Triple H is known as the guy with the click because that's the exact noise my TV remote makes when he makes a promo. Click.
Nice.
However, and by the way, I don't know if you guys saw the article, but in positive news, on this coming Monday night, supposedly Evolution will be joined by Ric Flair.
Woo!
So it will officially be full Evolution.
This has nothing to do with the Ultimate Warrior. Good job.
Yeah.
In all fairness, has anything we've said for the last 15 minutes anything to do with the Ultimate Warrior?
We were talking about the Ultimate Warrior, kind of. Because it spawned off the Hall of Fame thing, and I was saying he deserves to be in there.
I agree.
And I just mentioned why other wrestlers, like I mentioned, like I used Cena as an example, I still feel belong to be in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Or deserve to be in there, belong to be in there. It's like a fucking horrible Japanese dub lyrics. But no, like I said, Ultimate Warrior, he was definitely unique. And a lot of people were drawn to that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, he had some amazing, if incoherent, promos.
Yeah.
Yeah. His promos were amazing.
I mean, he embodies something that most people, that I've seen brought up by a few people on the internet. He embodies something that WWE and wrestling in general doesn't have anymore, and it's one of the reasons why wrestling is not what it used to be.
Steroids?
Well, yes, but besides that.
I'm sorry, that was a poor, tasteless dig, I'm sorry.
Yes.
What's that, high energy?
Yes. And besides, well, you know that's not true. Have you looked at Batista?
Yeah, I said high energy.
Exactly, the energy. The fact
I'd
that,
say get energy. What about Sin Cara and people going boom off trampolines?
Yes, but that's not exactly. That's just running around. But it's the energy in the promos, because you go out and you've got like okay, you've got John Sylvie out there like, I don't care who you are, because I have hustle, loyalty, and respect, and I'm gonna take you down for these people even if they don't like me. Or you got Triple H crowd. The Triple H is like, I am the game. I am the authority. I will take you down, Daniel Bryan. Or whatever else. But that's the promos are always a lot more. There's an intensity, but it's that quiet, reserved intensity that the guys use nowadays. Yeah. Whereas if you watch a promo from back in the days, you watch a promo back in the days, Hulk Hogan, I will come down to WrestleMania, I will break your arm off, and I will throw you into the crowd, and I will imbue you with the power of destrucity.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that, though. I personally feel it's the eras of which they are. Like during the Attitude Era, I'd say The Rock was definitely the same type of energy as Ultimate Warrior, just in a very more attitude-ish way. Whereas nowadays, people don't want the high attitude, or people don't like the high energy promo. They prefer realism. Because as much as we all know wrestling's fake, we complain if they do anything that shows it's fake. Which is bizarre as fuck. We all want realism. We don't want John Cena to come out there doing the 7.5-inch pythons, brother. We want Cena to come out there in his shorts and stuff like that and give a speech about how I was the first one in the locker room, the last one out, and blah, 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 like he normally does, because that's more real to us. And if the promo feels more real, you get more energized nowadays. Nowadays, ironically, high-energy stuff doesn't make you energy, except unless it's an energy drink.
See, I got to be honest with you, I disagree with that. Because I'll be honest with you, there was a time not too long ago back when he was there, but it was like, I'll be watching WWE, and okay, here's the guys doing the promos and whatever else, and it's just intense energy, and it's just the problem is really the E, because the guy go out there, and the problem is instead of going out there and cutting a promo, they're going out there and they're acting, which yes is important, but they're going a little too far in that direction, and you're not sensing that you can see that, okay, they're doing a good job portraying their characters and what they're doing, but you're not sensing the energy like they love and want to be there, and you lose that sometimes. Whereas, like, there was a point in time where I watched WWE, and I could, okay, here's Cena, here's the guys doing their promos, and then at that time, a few days after, just watching WWE like I always do, I happened to flip on TNA at one point, and I see fucking Ric Flair come out and cut this ridiculous fucking promo. And it's like, wow, that's energy. That makes me as excited as he is. That makes me want to see what he's gonna do. And that's the kind of thing that we're lacking nowadays. Ric Flair came out like, you want aces, or what was it? Fucking aces and eights he was running at the time. Like, you want aces and eights? You want me? That's it. I am lifting the band. Woo! We'll take you down. Fucking blades and elbow drops a coat for no reason.
Yeah, which, like I said, that does work. I'm not insulting the high energy, but like you mentioned, Ric Flair did that in TNA, which never became as big as WWE. I'm sorry, as much as we had that on TNA, the greatest promo, in my honest opinion, we've had in the last 10, 15 years of wrestling or so, has probably been CM Punk in a Stone Cold shirt on the top of a ramp, speaking honestly, with no high energy, just speaking honestly.
That's true. You are right. I will give you that. I'm not saying it doesn't.
I was just saying, when it's real like that,
yeah,
it draws you in a lot more. Like some of the digs The Rock and Cena had at each other, as much as people were like, oh, it's The Rock and Cena, oh, I don't really care, they're dragging it on for a year. Their promos, like we mentioned during the documentary when we did The Rock and Cena coming soon, was basically, it felt real. And when it feels real, you actually get a sense of, oh, I wonder if that's real. Oh, I wonder if these guys don't like each other. And that makes you more invested. But at the same time, I understood what you were saying about the high energy.
Yeah.
Either one works. I mean, we do need high energy promos back. At the same time, I mean, I think there should be a balance between the two, possibly.
Yeah, I think that. Well, yes, those intense promos do work, and they're very good. And guys did those sometimes back in the day too. If for example, if you saw a promo by, let's see, for example, Jake the Snake Roberts back in the day, that was his style. He could be like, I am the Snake. Knock him out there. Damien, it's going to take, whatever. He would do that sort of thing. And that worked for some of the guys, but I think his problem is that they've got while the intense promos are good, I think that when they're over the top, that's when that draws people into us as well. And you know who's bringing that back? Who embodies that right now? Bray Wyatt. Because Bray Wyatt goes like, John Cena, I will bring out the monster within you. I know what you really are. These people know what you really are. He's like all bug-eyed and going fucking nuts. People are loving that.
See, to me, that's not. To me, the Bray Wyatt thing isn't high energy. To me, that's him doing the more realistic, darker stuff, because you do get people like that in real life with that batch insane and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's high intensity.
Yeah, high energy.
I'm gonna say Bray Wyatt strikes a balance because
Jim. Jim. I was just saying, to me, that's more like the Undertaker and Kane style promos, where it's realistic, but it's darker and it's not as over the top as Ultimate Warrior or Hulk Hogan.
No, not at all. But he embodies the fact that you can balance between the two, because he'll be in the back on the screen and he'll be talking to the microphone to the guys, and he'll be intense and quiet and evil. But he can also do the thing where he's in the ring with his guys around him, and he'll be, he's got like his hair's flowing everywhere, and he's sweating all over the place, and he's throwing his hands in the air, and he's shouting at John Cena. He can do both, and that's kind of the balance. I think that's what we need, is more guys who can do the balance, who can do intense promos, but every once in a while just kind of go outright fucking nuts.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying before you cut me off, I was saying the thing with that, I don't think that's like the Ultimate Warrior Hulk Hogan over the top. I think it's over the top in the supernatural way of Undertaker and Kane, but it's also more real. It's like as much as I don't like this guy, and I know Richter does, but which is perfectly fine. I didn't like Austin. However, just because I don't like him, I'm not going to say that he didn't do this. He brought out realism in his promos that made people love him. People got behind him because he felt so realistic, and when that's more what the audience are after nowadays, I feel, is that style of realism. Like the Austins, the CM Punks, to a degree, the John Cenas. Hell, even Daniel Bryan, as much as I don't like Bryan, is still acting more real, if that makes sense, besides his shitty little yes catchphrase, which is so much fucking worse than the whatever was.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because it's so realistic for a guy to show up and successfully assault 40 dudes with a pool cue.
I didn't say... I don't think his actions were. I said his promos were, when he's talking about, I'm the hard-working guy, I enjoy beer. That sounded realistic.
True.
Just like it's not realistic how Daniel Bryan won the title.
Well,
But-
yeah.
But
No, he's
it's,
indestructible.
yeah, but it's still realistic how he comes out there and he talks about how he doesn't look like other superstars, which is kind of true and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior's promos were still great. No one's going to insult the Ultimate Warrior's promos. They were epic and enjoyable for a reason. And I honestly did enjoy some of the Ultimate Warrior promos. I will admit I did enjoy his promos. They were fun to watch.
They were very fun to watch.
But how about Rick and Marcus? How do you guys feel about the intensity and promo stuff?
I don't know about that right offhand, but I know that with Ultimate Warrior, yes, I do think his promos were good. And another hidden aspect, I should say, is it's really easy to imitate him. Like, you take like The Rock's awesome promos, and it's hard for the average person to, just do a shoot of it and make it sound realistic. But like, just about anyone can imitate an Ultimate Warrior promo.
Well, that is true, and the thing is, that's not just Warrior. That was a lot of the guys of the day, because back in the day, the characters were simpler, and they were
that's
stereotypes of themselves. I mean, for that matter, it's pretty easy for anybody to go for anybody to go, "What you gonna do, brother? When Hulkamania runs wild on you?" Or Hulk Hogan, you fucking piece of shit. It's easy to do a lot of those. A lot of those guys back in the day, it was easy to do their promos because they were straightforward and they were just basically stereotypes of themselves.
They were, but I think what Richter was also hitting at there, which is kind of true. Hulk Hogan's had a very big structure to it. Mentioned the Pythons, would do the What Brothers, would do the ripping at the shirt, please the crowd.
It was very formulaic.
Yeah, Ultimate Warriors sounded like your drunk uncle on the porch rambling about absolutely anything, which anyone could do that.
True.
Yeah, just add in a couple snarls and talk about whatever. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your old uncle sat on the porch drinking alcohol and the snarls, and it's because every time he's talking, like, flies around and one goes in his mouth, and he's talking, like, oh, I'm going to rip off that guy's arm. From a fly.
Exactly.
But intensity versus
realism.
That should be we should put that on the list of topics. That's a good topic since we're getting into it.
Well, I'll get into it in a minute. I'm actually waiting for something to finish here, and then I will expound upon my thoughts.
X-Town.
Okay.
I see what you did there.
When your thing finishes, do you want us to get you a towel?
Wrong thing.
Yes, full well Marcus doesn't have one of those.
I know what he's doing. He's coming into Kleenex tissues to make a paper mache Death Star. Duh. Or no,
why
because
is everyone doing that this week?
Well, because he's a Star Trek fan, I think he's going to make it into a Borg cube, which will be a little harder to make the pointy edges, but I think he can pull it off.
I'm sad that that's probably a thing. There's probably someone that's done both of those.
Someone's put out there probably made a cum paper mache model. Oh, the Death Star, the Borg.
And probably an anime character somewhere in there.
And probably sold it.
Yeah, put it on Craigslist.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, for those who don't know where I am, I'm having a late dinner, so excuse me. But I think the thing is, it's not so much the intensity or the high energy. I think what's missing, and I think Ultimate Warrior did embody it. Hulk did to a point. The Rock and Austin totally did. And it is the realism, because even though, Mo, you pointed out, they're trying to do a more realistic take on the promos that's not so over the top, which is better for today's WWE. I think that what the superstars, the heroes, if you will, and villains of yesteryear brought that the current and new crop don't bring. Now, I don't know if it's because of the training of the WWE nowadays, but what they brought was a passion that I don't see from a lot of the other superstars that Ultimate Warrior did have. A passion for what he was doing, a passion for the character. Because when they cut promos, when Ultimate Warrior cut a promo, when Hulk Hogan cut a promo, when Jake the Snake cut a promo, when Austin cut a promo, when The Rock cut a promo, you believed that they were that character because they believed they were that character. They were into it. Whereas now, and I believe, was it Jim that mentioned the E in WWE?
Yeah.
That is exactly it. It feels more fake than it used to be, if that makes any kind of sense. Because it feels like they're just doing these characters, but they're not investing themselves in the characters.
Right.
Whereas the superstars of yesteryear actually invested themselves in the characters, and a lot of that was because they made the characters, they came up with the idea and stuff. And nowadays they don't.
Yeah, and right there is precisely why Bray Wyatt is over as fuck, because he made that character.
Yes.
He writes most of his own dialogue for the promos, and he throws himself into that character, mind, body, and soul.
See, I would say I don't think that's missing right now, Marcus, because it's like at the time when you mentioned those wrestlers, most of the ones you mention are pretty high up on the cards when you mention them. Like, let's face it, the Austin and the Rock and the Attitude Era, you still had your Billy Gunns and your Mark Henrys and stuff like that on the microphone. Whereas right now, John Cena, I'm sorry to say, I honestly believe John Cena is that character because we've seen him in real life and stuff. He is a genuinely nice guy. That is who he is.
Yeah,
he is the kid that's made the jump to mainstream or as the wrestler. Right. You've got Randy Orton, who you honestly believe Randy Orton believes in his character and is trying to do it, and he's doing his I am Randy Orton.
Well, I'm not saying we don't have it at all.
Yeah, I'm saying Daniel
was
Bryan
more of a product of the last generation, kind of, because he kind of came up during that era.
I was saying we got Daniel Bryan. You honestly believe Daniel Bryan believes and is passionate about his character. We had CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, Sheamus to a certain degree, until they tweaked a bit of it, but still, it's still there. Big Show, you still get that. It's just a case of nowadays, Raw's 3 hours, not just 1 or 2 hours, and as well as that, there's more wrestlers now than there was in the past, which means you're going to notice more wrestlers not being that passionate, and some of those aren't that passionate. Like, look what they did to Ted DiBiase. He was basically told, look, you're never going to go anywhere in this business, and so he quit. That does make people depressed. I mean, like, for example, let's say you worked at, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a place that you would work, KFC. How would you feel if the Colonel himself came up to you and said to you, look, kid, you're never going to become a manager. You're never going to go anywhere. It's going to get your morale down. And there's more of that now because it's also harder for people to get over because there's more people there.
True.
Which I think that's the reason. At least that's my take on it. It's cool if everyone disagrees and stuff. Except Jim, he sucks.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. But that was my opinion about the about promos and stuff and about Ultimate Warrior. Because I think that's what he embodied. Because I think the high energy wasn't for the sake of high energy. I think it came from him, and I think it's because he was passionate about the character and about the business.
Exactly. It's because you truly believe that they love what they do and they really want to be there. And the problem is you get that from a few guys. John Cena, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt. You get it from a few guys, but there's a lot, like Mal said, there's a lot of guys whom, they kind of enjoy being there, but because of the positions they're in, whether they're being pressed upon by above to try to get better, or they're getting, heckled by fans, whatever else, you're not seeing that passion anymore because it's so much harder to succeed in the business nowadays, and because there's so much more required of the guys. Because back in the day, they were basically allowed to go out and say whatever the hell they wanted to within reason. I mean, nowadays everything is so tightly scripted and there's so much more acting involved that it's much harder to be passionate when you're focusing on getting all your shit right.
It is.
And I think that's part of the problem.
And I also think sometimes we're seeing that passion as well in some of the low down peoples as well, who genuinely believe want to be there. Like, as much as people are going to snarl and giggle, and I didn't mean snarl as an Ultimate Warrior pun, please don't think that, but as much as people are going to snarl and giggle and shit at this, 3MB, I'm sorry, when 3MB were put together, oh my god, it looked like they were having so much fucking fun with those characters and like the backstage promos and the actual stuff. It's like Drew McIntyre looked more happy in that role than he did as the Chosen One.
Oh, yeah.
And which means you do get that sometimes, which is always cool. And I do think Ultimate Warrior did have a lot of passion. And I will also say, in his real life, I believe he went on to become a college professor. I do like to think of his classes taught with Ultimate Warrior style promos, Remember, class, take notes.
There you go.
To see one kid at the back who's like, well, a straight A student, just go, no, that's it. Boom, blows his brains out.
Yeah. And that's true. There are a lot of guys that are, having said that, hey, I love what I do. I might not necessarily be the world champion, or I might not necessarily, do this, that, and the other thing, but I love my job at what I do. Guys like Santino, for example. Santino loves going out there and being hilarious. He loves doing that. Hornswoggle loves going out there and doing pretty much anything and being on TV. He loves it. A lot of the low guys do show a lot of that passion, too. But I think Mo made the point, it's just that there's so many more guys now that you're seeing a higher percentage of guys without passion because there are so many more guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But,
Fair enough.
But I do, like I said, I also agree with I can't say with Ultimate Shadow. I do agree with Marcus.
New character.
Yeah.
I will show you the lie.
Quick, somebody get 2K14 out.
Yeah, I do agree with Marcus. That energy was felt in his promos, and it was something that made him huge as well.
Yeah.
It's like some characters get over from having that huge passion, and like we said, some characters get over with realism. Other characters can get over from almost doing nothing, but just having some awe around them. Like Sting in WCW, which we do need to do a Sting one of these eventually. Sting. He was a guy that was almost like Ultimate Warrior. He was very outspoken and stuff like that. He had bright colours. He had stuff all over his tights and on his face and stuff. He disappeared. He came back all in black with white face paint, and he said "fuck all" and just pointed at people with a baseball bat. And you were like, "Oh my god, this looks real, and this looks fucking awesome." And you got behind that as well, which means that you also have that characters like that too.
Did he point at people with the baseball bat before they pointed at the WrestleMania sign?
I'm not sure.
Did they steal that?
Yeah, he only used to do it around Starcade time.
But no, what I was getting at was that it's about more than the energy. It's about believability. And while, yeah, a lot of the superstars now are passionate about what they do, they love being there. They don't bring a level of believability that some of the stars of yesteryear bring. Like, for example, John Cena. He brings passion every night. He loves being there. He loves what he does. He loves entertaining the kids. He loves wrestling. But, and I will agree with this because he says this almost every time, his whole thing of, hustle, loyalty, respect, I'm John Cena, word. That gets old really fast because he just shouts it. And it's like, shouting does not engender energy, does not engender intensity or passion or anything. To me, one of John Cena's best promos he's ever cut was when he was feuding with The Rock, where he came out and he was like, see the difference between you and me, Rock? I need this. I need to win this match. That promo was the most believable promo I've heard John Cena ever cut. Yeah. And he wasn't screaming. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't doing the Ultimate Warrior, oh, I'm John Cena. He was just saying, no, I need this. Yeah, and I was like, that's a fucking awesome promo because he makes you believe in what he's saying. And he probably believed in what he was saying. And he didn't have to project and go over the top and try to, quote, entertain, unquote, to do it. And a lot of the stars of yesteryear, like Ultimate Warrior, could do that. Now, of course, Ultimate Warrior's brand of believability was high energy, but that's who he was. To me, I don't feel that the high energy is who John Cena is.
Yeah. Like I said, I can agree with that. I disagree on the John Cena's shouting, like hustle, loyalty, and respect. It gets old, I agree. I personally don't like it. However, I see the need for it. Because Cena doing that or doing promos about like me is no different than The Rock inserting childish little food-related puns into his little stuff like his catchphrase and making people believe it was comedic gold. Or like Undertaker mentioning spirits or dead, or Austin mentioning cans of something, insert whoop ass or something. That goes with any wrestler. That's just his catchphrases. They have to do that to sell T-shirts, but I still believe he believes in his hustle, loyalty, and respect.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, and that's fine, and I agree with you. He does need to say those things, but I think if they would tone it down and do it more like how he did his promos against The Rock, I think it would be a lot better, more believable. Because the way he does it now, with the yelling and the over the top and stuff, it's him saying, you need to believe in this stuff because I say so, as opposed to if you do it more subtle, like more subdued, but still with that intensity and with the passion behind his eyes and stuff, it becomes less of believe in this stuff because I say so, and more believe in it because I believe in it and you believe in me.
See,
And I think that's what's missing.
see, I can kind of agree with that. I would say on the flip side of, I actually kind of like the way they do it with him at the moment in some regards. Of, let's face it, if he's going out there every week and he's doing the intense, I need to win this style thing, it doesn't matter that much. But when he's over the top as much as he is right now with some of the other stuff, when he comes out then he does promos like that with The Rock, or when he does the whole he's scared of Bray Wyatt, he's never faced a man like him before, you believe it's suddenly more serious, and suddenly that ups the threat level. If it's like that all the time, you can't up the threat level.
I can see that.
I was going to say, at least that's my take. I'm not sure if everyone agrees to that or not, though.
That's true.
But I think we've talked pretty well about Ultimate Warrior. Did our host want to lead us out?
Sure, if we're about wrapped up. Well, somewhere in here there was a discussion about the Ultimate Warrior. We kind of went off on some tangents, but I think it was all relatively connected. It sparked some really good discussion.
I would argue the fact we went off rambling about random crap is more of a tribute to Ultimate Warrior than if we'd stayed on topic.
This is true. This is very true. Very true. All right, well, with that, I thank these three gentlemen for joining me.
And thank you for having us.
All right. And I've been James Phoenix. This has been a look at the Ultimate Warrior. May he rest in peace. May the Warrior family be in your prayers and ours. And until next time, we'll see you on the next WXR.